thing going on. Here we go. Hi, everyone, and thanks for tuning in. We just got everyone joining us right now. I got a little music. We'll get started in just a moment. All right. How you doing, Gary?
Good, how are you?
Great. Really, really well. I'll turn this down here.
I'm working at home today, so I might be a little distracted at times, but
That's all right. That's all right. I'm distracted most of the time anyways, so I'm sure we'll make it happen nonetheless. But I'm glad you're able to join us today. Thanks very much for tuning in.
yeah.
And as we'll go around the horn right here, we got lots of familiar faces, some new faces. It's great to see everyone joining us this afternoon. Welcome to Top of Mind. I'm Ray Vaza, BV&Co. We've got our special guest, Darcie de Silva, who's going to be talking to us today. But I'll just take another minute. I always like to open the show with, I call it a show, but it's a little bit of a, you know, we all jump on here. But I'd like to open up with a little bit of music, kind of set the vibe. And Darcie and I were chatting just a few minutes before we came on here. And I was saying, you know, I always pick a song for a particular reason. Today was Taking Care of Business by BDO. And when I think of Darcie, I think of a guy that takes care of business. So I'm also a bit of a cheesy guy too. And if you've gotten to know me, you can pretty well say that's true. And if you haven't got to know me, well then, hey, it's a great opportunity for me to be even cheesier and everyone will be like, who is this guy? Good afternoon, Cheryl. How are you?
I'm getting there, thank you.
Good. I'm glad to hear that,
Yeah.
Cheryl. Are you feeling a little bit better? Any better?
Yeah, I'm a lot better. I'm still coughing, but I think I'm almost well.
Good. I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah.
So good to see you, and I'm glad to hear that you're getting better. I see some more people that are coming on right here. So we got some folks they're probably either going to be at work. I'm going to just put you on mute there for a second, Cheryl. Yeah, we've got some folks that are probably going to be at work and just listening in, which is fantastic. If you have a chance to turn your video on, please do so. If you're not sure how to turn your video on, drop a note in the chat and I can do a request that you actually get your video on. See, we got George tuning in this afternoon. George, great to see you. Hope everything is well. Maggie, great to see you as well. Ryan, great to see you. And got a new person joining us, Stephen Tran. Stephen, I don't know if you've tuned in before. Have you joined us before?
I have. I attended, I think, the very first one, but I have a work conference call at 2:15 every Thursday, so I haven't been able to join since. But they canceled this week's, so I was able to join. Hey,
well, I'm really glad that you're able to come on back, and I do understand the time constraint. You know, there's a lot of these that going on right now, and I find myself in the evening times I'm catching up with them. So, yeah, Darcie and I had some great chats.
Is there a recorded version of?
I do. I put up the recorded versions on my page, which is BV&Co. It's a Facebook page. So if you do at BV&Co, you should be able to find it pretty easily there. But yeah, I put up the recorded versions, and then Darcie and I were having a bit of a chat as he's got a YouTube channel that he posts a lot of his content to. So I'm going to be doing that, putting them up on YouTube and then linking them to my website. So hopefully in a few more days, I'll have that all set up. But this would be episode number 8. So you've seen one, you've got, you know, a few more to catch up on, and then you're back in the league.
Sounds good.
Well,
yeah,
I'm glad
I appreciate you doing this. I appreciate you doing this. It's I'm new to Keyspire and the whole thing, so I'm trying to soak it all in. So I appreciate you doing this.
Awesome. Well, that's great. It's my pleasure, and thank you again for coming and joining us. I'm going to put you on mute. We've got a few more folks that are tuning in here, which is fantastic. Okay, Denisha, I saw your video was on there, but it looks like you turned it off. It's great to see you on. I see we've got Dawn, Jason here. It's either Hanif or Hanif. I'm not sure. I hope I haven't butchered that too bad. I see Gord is on the line here with us. Michelle, that might be Oulette. I think so. I'm going to take a guess. Sam is with us as well. Lucas's iPhone, Megumi, Christine D, and Laurie. Oh yeah, Laurie and I were just chatting on email the other day, so I'm so glad you were able to tune in and join us there. Fantastic. So I'll just take another minute and see if we have any more people that are going to be coming on, and then we'll get started. So as I kind of started off right there, my name is Ray Vaza, and this episode or show is called Top of Mind. The reason I call it Top of Mind is pretty simple and straightforward, and that's kind of me, simple and straightforward. But I like to come on every single week and talk about current things that are happening for real estate investors, people that are interested in investing in real estate. It's a great opportunity to share. This is an open forum platform, so I invite everyone, if you have questions, if you want comments, if you'd like to be, a featured speaker on the show and you've got some value to be able to provide back, let me know. I'd be happy to have you on here as well. A little bit about myself. So I am a full-time real estate investor, and I made the switch over in May of the past year. It's been a great experience, tons of learning, tons of growth, tons of networking out there. Currently right now, we've got a project on the go with Jamie and Leslie Collard, and we're excited about starting that. It's a multi-unit project. And then I'm also really focused on joint venture opportunities. So I've got a few other things I'll be posting in the next day or so, but that's a little bit about me. If you're more interested in finding out about myself or business, please reach out at any point in time. But this show is not really about me. It's about bringing others on so that we can share and get some great learning and some great knowledge. So yeah, let me see if there's anyone else maybe joining right here. Okay, I see. Yeah, we do have a few more people that are coming in, but I say, let's get the show started. Let's get things rolling right here. So I'd like to welcome our special guest and our speaker today. It's Darcie de Silva. Darcie and I have known each other now, I'd say probably about 5 to 6 months. We've really kind of gotten to know each other. We've met up at a couple of different events. We've been chatting online. And Darcie's a guy that's really impressed me to no end. He's a real estate investor, much like us. Darcie really knows his market extremely well. He's got strategies that he's executed time and time again. He does play in the joint venture space out there, but today he's going to be walking us through, and I think this is a tremendous value add. So thank you, Darcie, for coming on and talking to us about this. He's going to be talking about the after renovation package. So you've got the appraisers coming in, you've completed your renovation project, you know the numbers that you want to be able to get, and you want to make sure that the appraiser is going to come in line. So he's going to be taking us through. He's also going to give us a little bit of background. So with that being said, I'm going to stop talking so much. Let me do a mute right there. Yep, I'm going to stop talking so much, and I'm going to go into speaker view right now. And Darcie, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and yeah, give us a little bit of your background and your information there.
Thanks, Ray. Appreciate the intro there, and looking forward to sharing some of the things that we're doing with regards to our appraisals and taking more control of them than we had in the past. So a little bit about myself. I've been with Keyspire, I would say easily the best investment I've ever made personally, for 5 years now, and exclusively focused on the flip to yourself or BRRRR strategy in London. And even more so focused in particular neighborhoods within London. So really specialized on 3 or 4 areas in London on specific property types. And we've been, very fortunate to have some great projects that have gone really well. And we continue to do that. So we've got a few on the go right now. We are working partners. So anyone that's, interested in learning about the London market or just simply has questions, by all means, I'd be happy to share. I live in Toronto now, but I grew up in London for 20 years, so I know that neighborhoods fairly well.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And before we get into I know you've got the PowerPoint presentation we're going to walk people through, but maybe share some of the exciting news. You've been active right now, Darcie, and you've got some good news to be able to share. So tell us what's been happening with you.
Yeah, so we've got 2 duplex conversions on the go as we speak. We just got an accepted offer a few days ago on another conversion as well. We've got another offer going out today on another property that we feel pretty good about also. So that'll be our 3rd offer sent out this week. So we're active, we're not slowing down, and especially with the London market. I know what it was like 3 months ago when you were seeing 30 plus offers on one home. So the fact that you might be able to get in conditional or with a few less bids than we typically have, I'm going to take advantage of this time as much as possible and get pretty active in the market.
That's amazing. Congratulations. Yeah, you said you're putting another offer in?
Yeah, we've got another offer going out this afternoon.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, definitely COVID is not slowing you down, and you're moving forward at a great pace, which is fantastic to hear. That's really, really good. And so for the offer that you're putting in, do you already have a partner lined up for one, or how are you going about doing that?
We've been having conversations nightly for the last couple of weeks. So this will be something that, once we get it, we'll put all the numbers together and we'll present it to some of the people we've been speaking with. And I would imagine there'll be a few people interested for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And your numbers are always extremely strong, especially on your BRRRR strategies. And I've seen some of your YouTubes with the beasts, right? The cash cows that you've been able to produce out there. So I'm sure you will definitely get investors that want to be able to take advantage of those opportunities. But let's get into the meat and potatoes right now. I know that you put together the presentation package. So if you'd like to jump in, we're all eyes and ears here. So. Just a question for on this, Darcie, as you're kind of getting everything set up. So if someone is interested in this, are we able to do a follow-up email, or can they reach out to you and say, Darcie, I'd like, actually to see the package, or what are we thinking?
Yeah. So today is just talking about what you should have in your package. If you'd like to see a copy of a sample package, then you could just either find me on Facebook, just looking up Nasilva Wealth on Facebook or Instagram. Or you could just go to our website, fill out a form, and just say, hey, we'd love a copy of the appraisal package, and I'd be happy to send that out.
Fantastic. So people can go to www.nasilvawealth.com, put in the information, say, please send me the sample appraisal package so that I can understand it, I can review it, you'll send it out, and now they've got it. And that's free of charge. There's no strings attached there. They don't have to do a joint venture or buy a property with you for that.
No, none of that. Especially with, what I love about the real estate investing community is such a giving community. There's so many people that have helped me out through the last couple of years. So many calls that I've had with other investors that have done it, been there, done that, and I've been able to take so much from them. So more than happy to send those out free of charge. It's nothing going to be, I don't think I could be charging for that right now anyways, but yeah.
Well, that's great, Darcie. And again, thank you for sharing the information and for really your value add that's happening here. So go ahead, take it away. I'll stop chatting.
Absolutely. So let's talk about taking control of your appraisals. I think this can be a very anxious time because you've put all the work into planning, purchasing, renovating, all these things. And now it's time for one person to walk through your house and tell you how you did. It's kind of like waiting for those final exam results. So it can be pretty anxious time. And I think one of the challenges that we really faced was we just didn't understand how to take control of the appraisal process from the beginning. And so what I'm going to walk through today is a 3-step appraisal process. I'll put a little asterisk on that. I've got an additional section that I've added because of COVID. There are some changes that you want to keep in mind. So this is as up to date as it's going to get with regards to what you should be doing. But we'll go through a 3-step process, and that is creating a package, reviewing it with your appraiser, going on site with the appraiser if COVID wasn't around. And if not, we can talk about some of the things that you can do with the COVID changes and how appraisers are working with properties today. So the reason we were unsuccessful in the beginning, or at least not as successful as we would have liked to have been, is we were executing the HOPE strategy, which is, okay, it's appraisal time. So let's get the appraisal booked. Let's show up to the property and let's walk around with the appraiser and talk about all the great things that we did, and then wait and hope for the amazing numbers that we're going to get. And so unfortunately, that strategy did not work well for us. Our appraisals were coming in $60,000, $70,000 under what we would have expected them to come. And when you're executing the flip to yourself or the BRRRR strategy, that piece, it really has a massive impact on what your ROI could be, your ability to pull that money back out. And you definitely don't want to be in a position where you can't get your renovation money back out because, you know, in many cases, people might be using borrowed money for that reno. And so it's important that we have, you know, a good process in place so that we can get all of that back and even a little bit of the down payment back. And so we moved away from the hope strategy. You know, I'm sure Yoda here is a very bright guy, but he's not a real estate investor last time I checked. And so we decided that, you know, just a number of things that we needed to really make sure of, which is know your area, know your numbers. We've looked at all different, you know, areas, especially across Ontario, but we've just decided we want to focus in on certain neighborhoods within London so that we know our numbers inside and out. We want to be an expert in those neighborhoods. So when a property comes up on the market, we can move very quickly without, you know, needing to hesitate, without needing to run tons of analysis because we've got that stuff in place. Get comps. So make sure you've got a great realtor that can provide you with all the comps. ARVs are, you know, obviously another important piece. And so what's that property going to be worth when the project is done? How much money are you going to need to put into that renovation on average? And then things like zoning, you just want to be sure of so that you're not walking into any potential problems with regards to how the zoning works. So these are some just basic things you should make sure you know before you're going into making a move on a property. When it comes to creating the package, these are all things that we include in that package. So that'll be 4 to 5 comps in the area. And one thing that we faced is we do duplex conversions, secondary suite additions in the basements. And so a major challenge that we were faced with was there were no comps in the market because those have only been around, especially in London, for 4, maybe 5 years. And so you don't have the benefit of having all of these sales in a particular area for that. And so, you know, we had to switch up our approach here and make sure that we are putting together a package of comps with duplexes and getting alignment with the appraiser that they will accept duplexes as proper comps. Because what was happening in the past is we were getting single family homes used as comps against our duplex conversions. And they just, one's an income property, the other one's, you know, a family for Joe and Mary to live in with their family.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So let's pause there because I think that's a huge point right there. So let's say you're new in your marketplace, or that, as you said, like London didn't really have these 4 to 5 years ago. So how do you set the comps? Now you found a good way to be able to say, you know what, Mr. Agent, like go out and find me the duplexes. But are you looking at in that neighborhood that those duplexes are, or in that overall marketplace?
So we looked at duplexes as close as we could possibly get to the property. And so that's all we could work with. And, you know, those have to be within, you know, 3 to 6 months of when those were sold. So we used duplexes as close to the property as we possibly could.
We just got a quick question that's coming up there, Darcie, and I know we said we'll take some questions on the fly, which is awesome. Yep. Danusha is asking, do you do, and I'm sorry, Danusha, it popped up and then it went down, but I think it was, oh, here it is. Do you do secondary unit conversions in Toronto?
I do not. So my focus, I live in Toronto, and I actually converted my primary residence into a duplex. But we do not focus on the Toronto market. We've been exclusively focused on London. That's where we want to specialize. And so, yeah, Toronto is not something that we're doing this in at the moment.
Okay. Didn't mean to throw you off track. Continue on there. You talked about the comps and the renos. Yeah.
Ask away. So within that package, all of your renovations, all the work that you've done, how much you've spent on that, it's not as obvious for an appraiser coming through your house what type of investment's been made. When you're going through a duplex conversion, you've got things like fire safety that you have to keep in mind. Maybe you're insulating the ceilings in the basement so that you can soundproof. And so all of these different changes and improvements that you've made, you want to make sure you're documenting it, because stuff that's happened behind the walls, they're not always going to be able to see. So it's important that you've got all of that tracked. And you should be doing that anyways for tax purposes and all that fun stuff. Permits. We want to show that these are legalized units. These are not illegal basement apartments that we see all over the place, right? We don't want to deal with any of that. It's one phone call and that becomes a huge headache with the city. So we actually provide copies of the permits that we have from the city with these projects for the appraiser so they can see that. Monthly expenses. and this includes everything. So if you think you're going to be able to submit monthly expenses without grass cutting, snow removal, all of that, you've got another thing coming for you. These appraisers know all the numbers inside and out. So it's good to make sure that you demonstrate you know your numbers as well, and you're showing everything. Gross income multiplier. I'm going to assume everybody knows what that is, right? Yeah, gross income multiplier. So I'll cover that in another slide because I'll be honest, I had no clue what this was until I had to learn what it was. Leases. So leases are great. You can either go with market rents, where the appraiser can do some research and do that. I like to use my own leases because we've got brand new units and we generally get top rents for our areas. So I want to be able to maximize, even if it's just a couple $100 more, I want those leases in place with my own properties. So COVID edition. So in addition to all of this, pictures and videos of every single room. So some of the changes that are happening now is they will do exterior appraisals or inspections. They won't actually go into the homes. And so you're going to need to provide the appraiser all of the information that they could possibly need so that they can give you a fair appraisal. So lots of pictures and videos. And on top of that, one of the biggest regrets I have with some of our earlier projects is not taking lots of pictures and videos, because it's great to look back at some of the work that you've done. Maybe you're not thinking about joint ventures today, but who knows down the road, you might get more involved with real estate investing, and now you've got that anyways. So as part of the appraisal package, make sure you've got lots of that anyway. Will help the appraiser quite a bit.
So Darcie, that's a great tip, and two things that you touched upon right there. So the COVID edition, so pictures or videos of every room. So the importance of being able to have content as a real estate investor or someone that is looking to get into real estate investing, it is just immeasurable. As Darcie said, you don't know when down the road you're going to use that. Maybe you're going to be able to build a website. You want to put up some of those images of their content there. Maybe it goes on Facebook. Maybe it becomes part of your credentials package that, when you're talking with a new investor and they're interested, well, now you can take them through, pictures, videos, everything that's happened. So not only great for COVID, but specifically as you go ahead and build your portfolio and the kind of work you did. Now, I mean, pictures say 1,000 words and video show exactly what's going on. So I think that's an amazing tip. But let's just go back to what you talked about there. So pictures and videos for the appraisers that are coming through. And you touched upon something that's really key earlier on, which is be there with the appraiser. But now with COVID, I mean, there's different levels. They can do a desk, a desk style appraisal where they're going to pull up some information. They'll sit at their desk and they're going to be able to give you, what they think the property is worth. They'll do the drive-by, which is they may not get out of their vehicle. They might just, physically take a look at it in the comfort of their car. Or, typically what the best is when they're going to come in and go through the property. So now with COVID and these pictures and these videos of every room, what are you finding, Darcie, and how do you get the best of that scenario? The best would be people, the appraisers coming in, you're able to speak with them, walk them through, kind of hold their hand through it. But how are you kind of merging those two right now to get what you need?
So I would get creative, right? I've actually got an appraisal coming up in the next, I would say probably about 30 days with one of our projects that's just on, just getting to the finish line. And so support it with pictures and videos, maybe even go a step further and do a video call with them and see if they're open to that, right? Hey, let's do a FaceTime or, a Zoom call, go to the property yourself if it's vacant and you can do that safely, and then just walk them through everything. Again, all you're doing is making it as easy as possible for them to give you a fair assessment. They're not just going to make assumptions and give you top numbers because they can't see something. That's obviously not going to happen. So everything that you can do to support and show that, you're trying to help as much as you can, I think will benefit you for sure.
Fantastic.
And then just say thank you. Come on, it's just a simple, mom and dad taught you growing up, use your manners and all of that. And so at the end of all of our presentations that we have with our appraisers, we just have a thank you slide at the end just to show our appreciation, of the work that they're doing for us. And, it's just the Canadian way, I would say. So, yeah, so that would be first. So gross income multiplier. I had no idea what this was. I'm still trying to figure out what it is. I will say Lucas, which is the second half of Nasilva Wealth, he's the spreadsheet wizard. He goes to sleep and probably has fun dreams about spreadsheets. So But in trying to make it as simple as possible, all you're doing is taking the current value of one of your comps and dividing it by the annual income. So what that'll do is give you a ratio. And I apologize ahead of time because I'm about to get a little bit number heavy on the next slide. I'm not going to dive too deep into them. It's a lot to take on. But this is an example of something that we would put together in our appraisal package where we've got all of the duplex comps that we want to use with our property. And then we're breaking down some numbers. So for example, on 465 Waterloo, all we're doing is dividing the sold price by the annual rent, which is giving us a ratio. And then we are multiplying that by our annual rent, which is giving us what, the gross income multiplier effect of where we believe the property should be. So I will say these numbers were still way higher than where our appraisal came in, but our appraisal still came in very strong. All I'm trying to do is develop at least a baseline understanding of a number where we should be in and around. And if we can get some alignment with that with the appraiser, when they actually go to visit or when they start reviewing the videos and material, depending on when this appraisal is happening, it will make things much easier. So again, take control of your appraisals. It's not enough to just have someone go through and make their own decisions based off of what's happened. You need to provide them tangible data, real cold hard facts that they can work with and use to apply when they're trying to make a case for your property.
This is really interesting. And if you take a look at, if we just scan across right here, right, and I'm looking at the sold prices on each one of these, right? So 465 Ontario sold at 470. What you're coming in is, 546. So, a considerable amount there, right? Dilbo 532 and you're at 567. Piccadilly 473. You're sitting at 613. I mean, that's a really nice lift. Wilson Ave 440, you're coming in at 670, even nicer. So yes, I mean, as we're going across right here, 469, you're showing a lift at 729, 485, it's coming in at almost 4 or 740 there. And then the last one right here, wow, this is the Byron 469, and you're estimating the value at 859, 246. So, I mean, amazing to be able to show what you're forecasting here. And I'm picking up on what you're saying, which is you want to be able to establish what that baseline is out there. It may not come in exactly what you projected, but at least you've given them real data, real rationale in a logical way that supports the current market and what you've done. So that's great. Let's just pause for a second because I know that there's a couple of questions that are coming in right here. So George is asking here, he's saying, Darcie, is it appraisers that you're hiring yourself or yourself to go through your property that you renovated? So are you hiring these appraisers yourself?
So we're going through the broker channel. And so with that, they have some appraisers they like, some appraisers they're not as crazy about. And so if an appraisal is scheduled and it's an appraiser we're not crazy about, we just cancel it. And if it's one that we feel good about, that we've had experience with, we move forward. So again, the challenge with appraisers is you could have two appraisers come through and have two completely different opinions of a property. So the appraisers that we like are investors themselves, and they understand this, right? So I can present something like this, and it makes sense to them. And so that's what I would prefer in most cases. That's what I prefer with anything, with anyone that I'm dealing with in real estate, is that they're an investor, whether it's our broker, our agent, whomever. And so that goes on all the way down to the appraiser.
So a couple more questions coming in right here. One is from Christine D. It says, where were you able to obtain the annual rent for the sold property? So how did you pull up that information?
So our realtor was able to grab that from the comps. So when they pull up the comps, you'll see just the sold comps, and a lot of them will actually have the information on what the rents were for those properties. So we were able to use those as comparisons. And what's nice with these duplex conversions is they really do cash flow like a beast. So this is why when we do a comparison to 25 Byron, there's no way our property is going to be worth or come in at 859. Right, this property in this example we had purchased for 292 at the time. So 859 is never going to happen, but it just shows the type of cash flow that is available with these duplex conversions being done. in London at least. And so to answer that question with Toronto, it would be much tougher to get this type of cash flow with the Toronto properties, but obviously with Toronto, it's more of an appreciation play. And so there's definitely benefits to that as well.
And so I understand exactly what you're saying there. And Stephen Tran has asked right here, have you always focused on the London market?
Yes, aside from my primary residence, which I always knew when I was going to buy in Toronto, because this is where I live and work, that I was going to go with the duplex conversion and set myself up so that I can start accelerating my real estate investing career. And every property beyond that has been in London, yes.
Okay, fantastic then. That's great. So I just want to be able to see, oh, geez, what did I do right there? Darcie screen. Sorry about that. Let me go back and click that again there, guys. There we go, much, much better. So then, oh, sorry, this is weird. It's like I can just see myself now before I see in Darcie. I want to see Darcie again. I don't want to see my face. How horrible is that? Go back to the grid. So I'll ask the question and hopefully it snaps back to you here, Darcie. But any other questions just from the audience right now? This is a tremendous slide and Darcie's really outlining some really technical stuff here with the numbers. Any questions that with regards to this slide that we just want to take another minute and ask Darcie about? No? Okay. All right, Darcie, continue on.
Yeah, so I definitely say shout out to Lucas on putting this slide together, because I have zero interest myself in putting something like that together. So good partnership on the team. So step 2 is reviewing the package on a call with the appraiser. So again, I've talked about this before, but it's really getting alignment on all of your comps and all of your numbers, right? If you've invested quite a bit of money in the renovation, it needs to be clear to the appraiser that that has happened, especially now with COVID and their inability to go in there. And so again, get alignment on the comps, get your numbers in there, and ensure all questions are addressed and follow-ups are completed, and do them in a timely fashion, right? If the appraiser needs some information, don't wait 2 or 3 days to get that to them. Get them to them as soon as possible. You want to come off looking as professional as you possibly can, and that you're taking this process seriously. And so make sure that you're following up and tying up any loose ends if they've got anything that they need post that meeting or that package review.
George has just popped a question in here. He's saying, where did the 38.4 come from?
38.4, are we coming up here? What's the reference to 38? Oh,
I think he's looking at 25 Byron.
Yeah, that's our annual rent for the property that we were trying to get, that we were getting an appraisal on. So 962 Eagle, 38.4 was our annual rent on that property.
Sweet.
Okay, so we'll move to 3A. So you've got your on-site visit. So here's some things when you're not in the middle of what's happening with COVID. But what we like to do is we'll give gift cards to our tenants, and we'll ask them to leave the premises kindly and go out for dinner or go out for lunch. So some gift cards to the keg or wherever. And just say thank you because we have the appraisal happening. It's a little bit awkward when you're doing, walkthroughs at a home and the homeowners are home watching TV and who knows what they're doing. So, it's definitely appreciated. It gives us an opportunity to look at everything without feeling like we're being intrusive in any way. So we'll give gift cards to the tenants in both of the units and ask them, for a particular time that works for them to have their families out on our behalf. And then with that, the same day, we'll actually hire cleaners to come through both properties. We will pay for that and just make sure that it's looking its best self for when the appraiser comes through. So, we're doing a couple things here. We're recognizing the tenants for being really nice and bringing up the place for us to walk through and giving them some gift cards. And then at the same time, we're saying, you know what, we're going to clean the whole place for you as well. So you don't have to worry about that. So when you come home, it's going to be spotless, coming to a nice clean home, and you had a dinner on us. So that's great. And so now it's your opportunity to walk through the property and then just make sure you're pointing out all the major stuff, especially if there's anything that's behind the walls or even walls that maybe you removed that don't exist there anymore, because there's a lot of work that can go into that. And so you're pointing all of that stuff out with the appraiser.
So a couple of questions here for you, Darcie. So gift cards for tenants. So that's great, but why not just discount them on the rent that month? Why give them a gift card? Why not say, hey, you know what, I'll knock $50 off your rent and thanks very much?
Be careful. You do not want to be discounting rent ever. You can get into some trouble there with just the way that the rules work with rent. If you ever discount rent, you could put yourself in a position where that discount actually becomes the rent going forward. So do not do that. You don't want to run into professional renters that can potentially take advantage of something like that. So we give a gift card, and then you can claim that gift card as an expense as well at the end of the year.
Nice. So some great reasons as to why. And then cleaners on the day of appraisal. So do you ever do any kind of decluttering or additional, let's say, some staging, right, to really make the place look the best it can be?
We just clean it and try and be as respectful as we can. When we're talking to the tenants, we let them know that an appraiser is coming through. We're giving them a heads up. So if you could, clean it up a little bit, just make sure everything's tidy and all that. And because of that, we're going to come through and clean the whole place for you. So there's some coordination that happens there. And the tenants that we've had so far, because these are brand new units, all new finishes and all of that, we're not generally dealing with too much clutter or anything of that nature. Staging is not going to really work because that's just going to be too much. We're going to have to ask the tenants to say, hey, can we take all your stuff out, put new stuff in? The appraisers get it. People live in this property. It's more about the numbers and the finishes that have been done. They'll have to look past some of the items that are owned by the tenants.
Okay, great.
I would say though, if you're in a position where you have appraisers coming through and you don't have tenants, I would definitely recommend staging the property. Okay, so you're pointing out all major upgrades, and so this is sort of our pre-COVID process, and then post is exactly what I talked about. So many appraisers right now, they're doing exterior inspections only, so just be sure, include lots of pictures, lots of videos for each room, and then have those for your own purposes down the road, because you will want to be able to look back on those and potentially use them for other things other than just an appraisal package. And just like I said, thank you. So I just want to say, thank you to Ray, thank you to everyone that's jumped on today to listen. Appreciate your time and hearing me walk through what we're doing here with our appraisals. And that's all I've got for today, Ray. So I'm going to throw it back over to you. I think I've done enough talking for today.
You've done great, Darcie. This has been fantastic. So let's just see functionality right here. Can you do a stop on your screen and then we'll open it up?
Sure.
Yeah, okay, fantastic. So let me kill on this one right here. So we're opening up to, oh wow, we've had a ton more people come on. Welcome everyone. Holy smokes, since I was on the Gridview last right here. So that was amazing, Darcie. You walked us through the particulars of the package, what to be able to include, what type of appraisers you're looking for, right? And if you get the wrong, or let's just say not the right fit for what you need in the appraisal, you're canceling that one, you're bringing a new appraisal company on board. I'm interested in your conversations though when you're talking with the brokers on that one. So you're talking with the brokers, they typically have for each lender, appraisers that they like to work with. So how do you negotiate that conversation when it comes up and you say, oh no, I know this one is not going to align with what I'm looking for? How do you go back to the broker and have that conversation and say, listen, not the right choice, give me the better one?
You don't need a reason to cancel. You know what, maybe I'm not feeling well, something's come up, you can cancel. So there's nothing there that you're binded to in any way. And so if your broker knows some of the appraisers, and they will know because they're seeing these happen all the time, they'll know which one's probably a little bit more favorable to income properties or have experience with real estate investors and income properties. So if you need to cancel, then you just go ahead and cancel and book it again for someone you believe you'll have better results with. So again, taking control. If I know going into this that this is someone that just does not have a good track record with appraising rental properties, then I don't want them near the property.
Fantastic. I love it. So we've had some really great comments right here, which is, a great presentation, great feedback, great value add. Either Hanif or Hanif, I apologize how I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. But the question is right here, can't you ask the broker to use one that you prefer from previous experience? So I think Darcie just answered that one, which is, if that broker does book someone that is not going to line up, you definitely have the right to be able to cancel and reschedule and then go back and have the conversation with your broker. next question that's coming up here, and I see it coming through from Danusha right here. What can you do if the result amount still comes in unfairly low? So the appraisal comes back, you've done all your work, Darcie, you've got the right people, but the numbers just aren't anything close to what you'd hope for, or you think that maybe, you know, maybe they woke up on the wrong side of the bed that day and they took it out on you in that appraisal. What do you do there?
I would go and take a look at everything that you've done through this process, right? And just double check that everything you had was correct. So, you know, were you on with the ARV? Did you have the right comps? Were there other comps that maybe you didn't take a look at? You know, what are, it's easy to play the blame game as much as possible, but I think when you start looking at yourself when things don't go the way that you want them to, you start finding solutions. You start thinking about the problem in a different way and other ways to tackle it. So I think putting this package together already shows that you're serious, that you are an investor, and that you've done your due diligence. Again, the whole reason for that initial meeting when you're going through the package is to get alignment with the appraiser. So if you can't get alignment with that appraiser on that call and they're saying, nah, you know, we can't use duplexes for, you know, these comps, that's not going to make a whole lot of sense, then that appraiser is not coming into my house, right? And so these are things that you can do to help reduce that as much as possible. You can always ask for another appraisal, but I don't believe that that'll get approved every time, but you can try and fight it. I know people have done that, but if you're going to fight it, again, it's a good thing you have a package because you'll be able to support that and you've already got all of that stuff ready to go. But there's no guarantee that that'll happen. And then maybe it's waiting another 6 months and having to do a second appraisal and waiting things. But I think first, take a look at your own process, your numbers, make sure that those are tight and in the right spot, and then, you know, follow through with the rest of the recommendations.
So again, like amazing advice, but not only that, but great mindset, Darcie, which is sometimes, you know, we can quickly start to point the fingers and play the blame game, right? Go back to your processes, go back to your information, make sure that was in line. And to your point, like get alignment with that appraiser before they come into the property. So don't, as you say, work on the hope, right? Take control of your appraisals, make sure that you're managing that process and getting them the information that they need. So a couple of just, you know, technical questions right here. And we started off and Stephen had said, you know, I'm a new not a new Facebook, a new KeySpire member in the past little bit. I'm sure you've been on Facebook longer, but what does an appraisal cost? Typically, what do you spend on an appraisal?
It's generally like a few $100. I'd have to take a look back to our spreadsheet. I know we've got that tucked in there as one of the many numbers, but you know, you're probably looking at $400 or $500.
$400 to $500, and I mean, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars in value for a small spend of $400 to $500.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic then. And let me see, I had another question just come in mind. It was about so right now, and it was funny because I was having a conversation with a realtor recently about after repair values, after the project is done and that sort of thing. And the conversation is, you know, 3 to 4 months ago before COVID hit, it would have been worth X. In today's market, we're probably looking at Y. And the difference is, I'd say anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 in the conversations in the markets that I'm looking at. What are you finding with some of the feedback you're getting with knowing that, yeah, I mean, you know, depending on the marketplace, we had talked earlier before the call and everyone jumped on about how, you know, months ago there was multiple offers being made. You're still finding it, but it's a little bit of a different scenario. But with regards to your market, are you finding that prices have dropped down since COVID has been in there? And then how are you finding that, again, your package is fantastic and your process is flawless, but how are you ensuring that you're getting those not COVID kind of prices?
So for the areas that we invest in, I've probably seen about a $30,000, maybe even $40,000 drop on some of these properties pre-COVID. And we've gone from 30 plus multiple offers to having the ability to go in conditional. And so, you know, with the appraisal that we have coming up relatively soon, there's only so much that we're going to be able to control there. Our strategy is buy and hold long-term. I'm not looking for, you know, quick cash. And so if it means that we get the bulk of our investment out from a renovation standpoint initially, and then we've got to come back 6 months from now when things have, you know, come kind of normalized, then we'll do that. And that's just what you have to deal with. But again, I think with the duplex conversions, as you can see with the comparisons earlier when we did the gross income multiplier, we're adding so much value to this property, and the cash flow is so strong that it's pretty hard to mess it up, right? Even like a bad deal, you know, you're looking at like an annualized return of 20%. Like that's a bad deal, right? And so when you compare that to what people are doing in the stock market, you know, hey, I think you can live with that. And then when you're looking at cash flow of anywhere from $700 to about $1,000 right now on each property, you still got some stuff to, like, if you took that from a line of credit and you need to offset that, or a HELOC or whatever, you've got more than enough cash flow to help offset that for the time being. And then when things pick back up, you can come back and do the appraisal again.
Like I said, right? I mean, I started off with, you know, taking care of business. Like I said, Darcie is a guy that knows how to take care of business. He's extremely impressive every time I talk to him. And I'm not just pumping his tires because I like the guy. Like, listen to what he's saying. It makes sense. There's no doubt about it. A couple more questions that are coming in right here. So one is from Danusha. Let me just scroll back up here, Danusha, 1 second right here. So it says, can this package preparation be something you can outsource and work together as a team with the building owner / referrals? Maybe we'll take you off. Just let me see where you are, Danusha. We'll unmute you so we can just understand that question a little bit better. Where are you? Where are you? There you are, Danusha. Yeah, fantastic.
Hi.
Go ahead. Hey.
I'm painting the basement today, so sorry for the appearance and all that jazz. So yes, it's again with my Toronto property. About 2 years ago, I had an appraisal done, and it was like disgustingly undervalued, and it was through a bank, so I didn't want to raise too much of a stink about it, because you know you have to keep relations good. But I am in the position of doing it again, and I will practically do all I can to make sure that presentation, as you're recommending, is on the up and up to help this new appraiser give it its genuine value. And except I'm not that kind of, I don't know how to do those graphs. I don't know how to make it all in, you know, pretty nice way. And
Is the question then, is that something that Darcie and his team could help you out with, to be able to understand how to put that all together? Is that the question?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Then. So what I'll do is I'll say, contact Darcie offline. You can have that conversation about how his organization can help you out, Danusha, help, you know, walk you through the package. To start it off, we did say that if anyone's interested in the package, you can visit nasilvawealth.com, and there is an information request there. You can say that, hey, you know, I was on top of mind. I saw the package. I'd like my own copy to be able to download it, digest it, and take a look at it. So for anyone that missed that part, you can do that with Darcie directly. But I'd say then reach out to Darcie and continue to have the conversation around potentially, you know, getting some support, or, you know, showing them how you can do that as well. So that would be my thought, if that sounds okay to you, Darcie.
Yeah, it's nasilva.com, just as a quick correction there, but you can just Google Nasilva Wealth and you'll find website and all of that good information.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, fantastic. Sorry about that, Darcie. I didn't mean to get it wrong.
No,
so let's see right down here. I'm just going to scroll to a few one. I see there, Simon has joined us right here, and he says, joined a little bit late, but how do you interview the appraiser beforehand? So, and he's saying, you know, he usually understands the lender will choose a random one. So maybe you can just quickly go back over that one more time, Darcie.
Yeah, so again, the lenders have relationships and understand how some of these appraisers operate, and they have appraisers that they like better than others. It's just like having, there's home inspectors, or not, sorry, home inspectors. There's people from the city that are coming to do inspections on our permits and all of that. And there are some building inspectors that I like, and some building inspectors that I'm not as fond of. And so the same thing happens with appraisers. People have different views on the values there. So again, this is where, when you're walking through the appraisal package for that initial call first, you're getting alignment with the appraiser on that call. If you can't get alignment, then they're not coming to the house. Party is canceled. We're not rescheduling. You know, thank you, but no thank you, and we'll go through it again.
Again, I love the directness of it all. So a couple of things that have come up here in the chat right here. So Lucas is I'm I know I'm butchering that one right here. So they've got a package to be able to send, and they're sending that to Danusha as well. So thank you for that share and that value add. Christina said right here, will that be an Excel format where we can enter our own values? You can take a look at that and see. I'm sure if you have the conversations, people will help you out. Natasha O'Farrell right here. I didn't get that name wrong, thank goodness. The question is, I've heard that appraisals for a refinance on a currently owned property generally come in lower for a new purchase. Is this the case? So quickly, Natasha, I'll just comment on this, and then Darcie can give a little bit more. He did share a great slide kind of showing how he sets his appraisal values and what he uses in terms of the mechanics, the informations, and the justification to be able to get some of his numbers in line. So that doesn't mean always they're going to come in lower than a new purchase, but maybe Darcie, you have got some thoughts and comments on that as well.
So if I'm understanding correctly, she's saying that what does she mean by a new purchase? Like a new build, or?
Yeah, I think the question is on a new build. Natasha, are you able to unmute yourself and we can just hear your question?
Hi, yes, thank you.
Yeah, fantastic.
So what I was asking, we actually came up against this where we had a property that we were looking to refi, and the appraisal came in lower than anticipated. And when we spoke to a few other people in Keyspire, they had said that really when you're getting an appraisal for a refi of your current property, it can come in lower than if you're just getting an appraisal for something and you're about to buy, like a new purchase.
An appraisal for a refi versus an appraisal for a purchase. Well, so yeah, I can get why that's happening. An appraisal for a purchase means the purchase can go through. Bank can get that mortgage, and generally the market is dictating what that purchase price is, because it's either been sitting on the market for a certain amount of time or there's been multiples. So I think they're less stringent on that. I'm not going to speak for the appraisers and the banks on that completely, but I would say, especially if this is a property where there's been multiples, then the market is dictating what the price of that is, whereas an appraisal on your current residence, I would say, like, do not be shocked when appraisals come in 10% lower than what you would expect. I've heard that straight from the bank and saying, yeah, our appraisers generally shave off about 10% just as a nice little cushion. So even though it's worth more than that, it's still going to come in a little bit lower. You're not going to have that home run success, like every single dollar on that appraisal, which is fine. There's still lots of room there to be really successful. But if there's a 10% gap there, don't be shocked.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, right? And I think Darcie did a nice job explaining it, right? Is that typically anytime that we're out to get an appraisal price, we know that there's always a gap between appraisal price and what market value is, right? And depending on how the market is operating at that point in time, supply, demand, interest rates, everything that's happening, right? That people may be willing to pay well above what an appraised value might be. I know here specifically in Toronto, when you're looking at properties, right, you always have to tack on the over and above, right? So if they're saying, let's just say, for an average home, single family home, detached in Toronto, they say it's about $1 million, right? Will you get it $1 million? You probably have to factor in that you're going to go above that, right? So are you going to go 100 grand, 200 grand? What kind of price are you willing to pay? So there always is a difference between what the market will pay for it and what the appraiser is going to value it at. But as Darcie has shown us today, that doesn't mean that you get gun shy and you just leave it to the appraiser. You take charge of it, you put your package together, you get your information, you align with that appraiser before they come in, and you also show them, the value add in what you've done to the property and how you raise those rents and get those numbers together. So it helps them to be able to do their job and gives them the justification to be able to get close to the numbers that you're hoping for, or maybe it is a home run and you get the exact number that you're looking for. But it sounds like what Darcie is saying, you're going to get close most of the time. The home runs are a little bit of unicorns.
It can happen to all of us, and sometimes I'll say sometimes you just get lucky with the market, right? Maybe there's been a big jump while you've been doing your renovations and you look like the smartest person on the planet. And those are always good feelings to have as well, but they're not feelings that, they're not an actual strategy that you can, scale out.
Yeah, good to note on that one. So we're just approaching an hour here, everyone, and I want to say thank you very much for coming on, specifically to Darcie for taking the time today to be able to walk us through his mechanics, what he does for his company. Darcie, it's yourself and your business partner, and it's one more time so I don't get the website wrong, please.
It's just nasilva.com.
Nasilva.com. So you can also find Darcie on Facebook. You can check him out there. He's got content that's up on YouTube, which is fantastic. And he's in the London market. He is a Toronto guy, which I kind of like. So whenever this, frees up, we got to get together for a beer or a coffee, and we'll chat a little bit more. I always enjoy time spent, and there's lots of learning going on. I see from people saying thank you very much, Darcie and Ray, and thank you everyone for joining on in. I'm going to wish everyone a great afternoon. I don't think we got too many more questions coming on through, which is fantastic. It's been about an hour. It's been a great hour for me. Please continue to mark this into your calendars. I've set these up for 2:30s on Thursday afternoons. That's Eastern Standard Time. So, if you go east or west, it's going to vary, but hey, I always do Ontario time because that's where I live. I do have some more guests that are lined up for the following weeks, and I'm always looking to bring valuable content on. Now, like I said at the beginning, if you've got some information, you want to talk about your business, there's something that you are doing in your real estate investment journey that you feel can benefit the rest of the group here, then please let me know. We can bring you on. It doesn't even have to be for a full episode. If you feel that maybe you've got 20 minutes worth of content to talk about, we can set you up for 20 minutes. I can bring on another guest. So, always in real estate, we've got to be flexible. We've got to be able to kind of move and shake as we need to be able to get the job done. And with that being said, I can see my daughters coming down the stairs. I hear my little guy pounding upstairs in his bed. So, yes, sweetheart. Okay, give me a second. I'm just signing off. Do you want to come and say bye-bye to everyone, or no, you're not feeling up for it today? Okay, so with that being the case, everyone, thank you very much for coming in and spending time with us this afternoon. I wish you a great day. I wish you a great weekend. Take action out there, folks. Don't get stuck. Don't have the feeling. There you are, sweetheart. Don't have the feeling that, what do I do now? Reach out, ask questions, speak to others. That's how we all move forward. That's how we get success. So with that, let's give everyone a big wave. Okay, we'll wave bye-bye. All right, guys, have a great afternoon. Thank you again. Bye now.